Hey, welcome to Game Pulse. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic: video games that are based on real historical events. These titles offer players the chance to relive moments that shaped the world or explore impactful periods of history, bringing the past to life in ways that only gaming can. Whether they're offering emotional storytelling or tactical immersion, these games have a lot more depth because they're inspired by true stories. I'm David, and these are the 10 best games based on real events. Let's dive in. Starting off our list is This War of Mine, an emotionally intense survival game that shifts the perspective from soldiers on the front lines to the civilians caught in the middle of the conflict. This indie gem was directly inspired by the siege of Sarajevo during the Bosnian War in the early 1990s, a brutal and prolonged conflict that left civilians trapped, struggling to survive under extreme conditions. In This War of Mine, you control a group of civilians who are trying to survive in a city under siege, scavenging for food, medicine, and supplies while dealing with the constant threat of violence. The game emphasizes the harsh realities of war, such as hunger, sickness, and the moral dilemmas that arise when resources are scarce. You'll have to decide whether to steal from others to survive or risk your group's health by trying to stay morally upright. The game is unforgiving and bleak, much like the real conflict that inspired it. What sets This War of Mine apart is its ability to make you feel the consequences of every decision. You are not a superhero. You are a person just trying to make it through another day in a war zone. The emotional toll it takes on players is immense, and it forces you to consider the human cost of conflict in a way that few other war-themed games do. Next up is Valiant Hearts: The Great War, a game developed by Ubisoft Montpellier and set during World War I. Unlike most war games that focus on the action and the battlefield, Valiant Hearts takes a more personal approach to storytelling. Based on real letters and diaries from World War I soldiers, the game follows the intertwined stories of 4 characters: Emil, Freddy, Carl, and Anna, each with their own emotional connection to the war. The game's hand-drawn art style is beautiful and stands in stark contrast to the harsh realities of the war it depicts. The gameplay is puzzle-based, with players solving problems and interacting with historical events in a way that sheds light on the struggles of those who lived through the conflict. You'll experience iconic battles such as the Battle of the Somme, but also the more mundane, yet equally tragic aspects of life during wartime, such as losing loved ones, coping with loss, and dealing with the trauma of war. One of the most impactful aspects of Valiant Hearts is its ability to humanize the soldiers and civilians affected by the war, showing the emotional toll it took on them rather than just focusing on the glory of battle. The game also educates players through its collectibles, which provide historical context and facts about the war. Valiant Hearts is a heartfelt tribute to those who lived and died during one of the most devastating wars in human history, making it an essential play for anyone interested in history. L.A. Noire takes us to the post-World War II era, setting players down in 1947 Los Angeles, a time and place infamous for its crime and corruption. Developed by Team Bondi and published by Rockstar Games, L.A. Noire is a detective game heavily inspired by real criminal cases and scandals of the time, including the Black Dahlia murder and the corruption within the LAPD. In the game, you take on the role of Cole Phelps, a former war hero turned LAPD detective, as you solve cases across different crime desks, from traffic to homicide to vice. What sets L.A. Noire apart is its groundbreaking use of motion capture technology, allowing for incredibly lifelike facial animations, which play a key role in interrogations. Players have to read suspects' facial expressions and body language to determine whether they are telling the truth, lying, or withholding information. This interrogation system, combined with a richly detailed recreation of 1940s Los Angeles, makes the game an immersive experience. Many of the cases you solve in L.A. Noire are based on real criminal investigations from the era, and the game's atmosphere is steeped in the noir style, with themes of corruption, betrayal, and the darker side of the American dream. It's a game that not only tells a compelling narrative, but also provides a window into the seedy underbelly of post-war Los Angeles, making it a perfect blend of fact and fiction. Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed 3 brings players to one of the most pivotal moments in American history, the American Revolution. Set during the late 1700s, you play as Connor, a half-Native American, half-British assassin who becomes entangled in the war for independence. 3 masterfully weaves together historical fiction with real events, letting players participate in key moments such as the Boston Tea Party, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and the Battle of Bunker Hill. While the Assassin's Creed series is known for taking creative liberties with history, Assassin's Creed 3 goes to great lengths to recreate the locations, figures, and atmosphere of colonial America. You'll interact with real historical figures like George Washington, Paul Revere, and Benjamin Franklin, and the game gives players a detailed look at life in both cities and frontier towns during this time. Ubisoft's attention to historical detail shines through in the architecture, clothing, and social conditions of the era. The game also explores the complicated politics of the time, showing that not everyone involved in the revolution had the same goals or methods. Assassin's Creed 3 might be a fictional story about secret assassins and Templars, but it's deeply rooted in the history of America's birth, offering players a chance to explore the revolutionary period in an immersive and action-packed way. At number 6 is 1979 Revolution, Black Friday, an interactive drama that takes players inside the Iranian Revolution, a pivotal moment in modern Middle Eastern history. Developed by INK Stories, this narrative-driven game places you in the shoes of Reza, a young photojournalist who becomes swept up in the revolution against the Shah's oppressive regime. The game is based on real events, interviews with survivors, and historical documentation, offering players a gripping look at a revolution that changed Iran forever. The game's choice-based narrative forces players to make difficult decisions as they navigate the chaos and danger of the revolution. You'll document the unfolding events with your camera, trying to capture the truth while also balancing your personal beliefs and the safety of your friends and family. The game's story is full of moral dilemmas where every choice has consequences, mirroring the real-life tensions and uncertainties faced by those who lived through the revolution. 1979. Revolution doesn't just tell a story, it educates. The game includes historical facts, photos, and interviews that provide context for the events taking place. It's a unique experience that blends real history with interactive storytelling, making it both an engaging and educational look at a critical moment in modern history. Kingdom Come: Deliverance takes a very different approach to historical gaming by setting its story in medieval Bohemia during the early 15th century. Developed by Warhorse Studios, this open-world RPG strives for historical accuracy in almost every aspect, from its combat system to the architecture, clothing, and social hierarchies of the time. The game follows the story of Henry, a blacksmith's son who is thrust into the chaos of civil war after his village is attacked by invading forces. While Henry's story is fictional, the events around him are based on real historical conflicts, including the invasion of Bohemia by King Sigismund of Hungary. Deliverance goes to great lengths to recreate medieval life, from the daily routines of NPCs to the realistic portrayal of medieval combat, which focuses on the use of period-accurate weapons and techniques. One of the most unique aspects of the game is its non-linear storytelling. Players are free to explore the open world, take on quests, and interact with the game's detailed systems, which simulate everything from hunger and fatigue to the intricacies of sword fighting. The attention to historical detail and commitment to realism make Kingdom Come: Deliverance a standout in the RPG genre, offering players a window into the medieval world that feels both authentic and immersive. The Saboteur is a World War II-era action-adventure game that takes inspiration from the true story of William Grover Williams, a British-French racing driver turned secret agent. In the game, you play as Sean Devlin, an Irishman working with the French resistance to fight back against Nazi occupation in Paris. While the Saboteur takes plenty of creative liberties with the story, the game's setting and themes are deeply rooted in the real experiences of resistance fighters during the war. The game's open-world structure allows players to explore a stylized version of Paris, complete with Nazi-occupied areas that are depicted in black and white, and liberated zones that are restored to color. This visual distinction adds to the game's atmosphere, showing the oppression of the Nazis and the hope that comes with resistance. You'll engage in sabotage missions, fight German soldiers, and help the resistance slowly take back the city. While The Saboteur is more of a pulpy action game than a historically accurate retelling, it captures the spirit of the French resistance and the importance of fighting back against tyranny. The game's mix of stealth, parkour, and explosive action makes it a fun and engaging way to experience a different side of World War II. One of the most iconic World War II shooters, Medal of Honor. Allied Assault was a landmark title in the early 2000s for its immersive portrayal of the European theater of World War II. The game features several missions based on real historical events, most notably the D-Day landings at Omaha Beach, which is one of the most intense and cinematic moments in early first-person shooters. Developed by 2015 Inquisitor, Allied Assault puts players in the boots of Lieutenant Mike Powell, a member of the OSS, as he fights through key battles of World War II. The game's attention to detail in recreating these battles, from the layout of Omaha Beach to the weapons and uniforms, helped set a new standard for historical accuracy in the shooter genre. The emotional weight of storming the beaches under heavy fire, losing comrades, and pushing through Nazi defenses made Allied Assault a deeply impactful experience for players at the time. Medal of Honor. Allied Assault helped pave the way for more immersive and narrative-driven WIC shooters like Call of Duty, and its portrayal of real historical events remains one of the most memorable aspects of the series. The Oregon Trail is one of the most famous educational video games, and it's based on the real-life journeys of American pioneers during the 19th century. Developed in the 1970s, this game became a staple in classrooms, teaching generations of students about the hardships of westward expansion. Players take on the role of a wagon leader, guiding a group of settlers from Missouri to Oregon, managing resources like food and water, and facing challenges such as disease, weather, and river crossings. What makes the Oregon Trail so memorable is how it balances education with gameplay. It's not just about getting from point A to point B, it's about survival. Every decision you make, from rationing food to deciding when to rest, affects the outcome of your journey. And of course, there's the infamous "You have died of dysentery" message, which has become a part of gaming history. While the game is simple compared to modern standards, the Oregon Trail was ahead of its time in using interactive storytelling to teach history. It remains a cultural touchstone, beloved by those who grew up playing it, and still relevant as a fun way to learn about an important period in American history. At the top of our list is Battlefield 1, a game that brought the horrors of World War I to life in a way that no game had before. Released by DICE in 2016, Battlefield 1 takes players through multiple perspectives of the Great War, from the trenches of Europe to the deserts of Arabia. The game's single-player campaign, War Stories, offers a series of vignettes that follow different soldiers, all based on real events and battles from the war. What sets Battlefield 1 apart is its commitment to portraying the scale and brutality of World War I. The game's multiplayer mode features massive battles with up to 64 players, fighting in indestructible environments that change as the battle progresses. The dynamic weather and environmental destruction add to the chaos, making each battle feel unpredictable and intense. The War Stories campaign stands out for its emotional depth, with each tale highlighting the human cost of the war. From a British tank crew fighting on the Western Front to an Italian soldier in the Alps, each story is grounded in the real experiences of soldiers during the war. Battlefield 1 captures the sheer scale of the conflict, while also focusing on the personal stories of those who lived and died during one of the most devastating wars in history. And that wraps up our list of the 10 best games based on real events. These games bring history to life, allowing us to experience significant moments from the past in an interactive way. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Game Pulse, and leave a comment with your favorite historically based game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.